Here's 27 items for my next shipment. I was unable to go sourcing on the typical day earlier this week, so I wasn't able to get out another shipment yet, so I'll have to wait a little bit to send these out. This will be my next one here. This one, I actually already sold a copy of this. I found 2 copies and it sold for $35, and it sold right away. So I'll send another one in and see if it sells quickly, around 35, 36 bucks. I rarely find 2 copies of a book, especially a valuable book. If you're anything like me, you've been avoiding dealing with sales tax when it comes to your FBA business. However, we sell books and other items on Amazon.com, and we are basically an online retail store, so we still have to pay sales tax. Where do you pay it, you ask me? For me, I'm just going to pay it within my own state. Other people talk about Nexus and paying sales tax in 10, 20 different states based upon how many warehouses you've sent your items to. But for me, I'm just going to stick to my home state. I know everybody has their own way of doing it. Many of you might say, well, be careful. Other states might come after you, that sort of thing. And by the way, I'm not a tax attorney or tax lawyer or tax professional or anything of the sort, or a CPA or an accountant. This is the things that I've learned recently and what I'm implementing. I'm going to be paying sales tax within my own state of California. I got my seller's permit at California Board of Equalization. Every state has their own organization, department, etc. However they deal with sales tax. I found out Alaska doesn't have sales tax. By going to this IRS article or blog post or whatever you want to call it, where it lists all 50 states and how you can find out about how to get a seller's permit, where to pay sales tax, that sort of thing. They all have a different branch or department or organization, or however you want to phrase it, or whatever it's technically called. They'll have their own website, their own address, their own way of dealing with sales tax and structuring it and that sort of thing. So whichever state you're in, you want to go to that one and get your seller's permit, and then you can start to collect sales tax. So that's the first thing that I did. Once you have that seller's permit number, then you can go into Amazon. Go under the settings tab at the top, and then the drop-down menu will come down, and close to the bottom it says tax settings. Select tax settings, and you'll go to a page that says welcome to the tax manager. There's 3 links at the top there, and the third one will bring you to the page where you can update your tax settings and start to collect taxes once you have that seller's permit. So you can put in the number, and then you can decide, well, which state, number one. Is it just the state you're living in, or are you going to do multiple states? That's up to you. And then you can select where it's going to collect taxes. You can select state, county, city, district. I'm not sure about that. I selected all of them. I may be right or wrong on that. I might not need to have selected all of them, but regardless, I did. Your state registration number, and then go down to the bottom, hit review changes, and go through the process and set it all up. And then Amazon, within a day or so or less, will start collecting sales tax based upon what you inputted into your settings. I spoke to an individual from the California State Board of Equalization, and they told me specifically that they only want me to collect taxes on items that I have sitting in California warehouses. So therefore, if an item sells, Amazon will only charge sales tax if that item is based in a California warehouse. A while now, months, probably 6 months or more, almost all of my shipments, which are under 50, right, 49 or less, have been going in-state. Most of my recent items that are in California warehouses are going to be, Amazon's going to charge sales tax on those, and I've already started collecting sales tax on some of my sales. So that's the second thing. Up the taxes, go into tax settings and set that all up so that Amazon will start collecting. So the third part of doing this is setting up the tax codes. If you're brand new, you've only been doing this past couple weeks, couple months, let's say less than a few months, then it should be really simple, because you can go into each individual listing. Let's say you only have a couple hundred, and you can add the tax code. So you have to go to your inventory page, and then on the far right, you'll see a button. It's a drop-down menu, but there's an edit button. You hit edit, and you go right into the listing, and you can go to the bottom of the page. Usually it's at the bottom, and it says tax code, and you can input the tax code. Now, if you're like me and you have 2,800 items in inventory, going one by one is a very tedious, lengthy task. I actually called Amazon seller support and trying to find out the different ways or way that I could upload or change the tax code for multiple items at once. And they said that you can't do it within the website. There's not a way to go in there and check off all the items you want and say, change these to this tax code, which of course would be really simple, and they need to implement that, Amazon. But they haven't done that. They said, well, aside from going individually, there's a way to upload a batch file, a bulk change, and it's some sort of file, I don't know if it's Excel or whatever, but it's a template that they have, and you fill in the information, and you upload it, and then it changes all of the tax codes. Now, the problem with that is, she said it only works with PCs, so Windows-based computers. I only have Macs here. So she said people have tried with Macs and it hasn't worked. If you use a Mac and you've done the bulk upload, let me know if you were successful. According to this seller support agent, she said I could try it, but according to her, it hasn't worked for anybody that she's aware of. So I had to go individually and do this, which is another reason why I haven't been uploading very many videos, because I really wanted to finish that. And I was just doing it little by little every day, doing 100 here, 200 there, 50 there, and slowly but surely, yesterday, I finally finished the tax code changes, and it took me several weeks. It probably took me at least 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. And I wasn't doing it every single day, but most days I was. When I wasn't listing or sourcing or preparing a shipment, that's what I was doing in the time that I had to put into FBA. So if you already have tons of items on FBA, like thousands, and you haven't done your tax codes yet, hopefully you have a Windows computer and you can use the batch upload or bulk upload feature and the template that Amazon provides. So, to make a long story short, that was a really tedious, lengthy process, but it's all done. So now the question becomes, which tax code do you enter? If you are doing mostly books like myself, then the tax code you're going to be entering is this one, A_books_gen. However, if it's a religious book, you're going to want to put a different code. A_books_RELIG for religious themed books. Most of my inventory is currently sitting at the warehouse as books, so most of that was just putting books in there, but I do have a fair amount, hundreds of CDs and VHS tapes. Now, they don't have specific codes for CDs or VHS tapes, so you can use the general tax code, which is A_gen_tax. So that's what I put for all my CDs and VHS tapes. I had other random items, like a few video games, a few VCRs, but aside from that, and there are some codes for, there's codes for video games. VCRs, there's electronics, there's like a miscellaneous electronic code, which is what I use. I'm not sure if it's right, but hopefully. Although the VCRs are not in California, so I guess it doesn't matter. So once you have all the tax codes set up, then Amazon will start collecting all of the sales tax. Now, one thing is, when you go through the tax settings, it gives you an option to list a generic or general tax code. And I'm not sure how that works, because once I start listing new books, it doesn't automatically input it into tax code. So when I'm doing each individual book and listing it, or CD or VHS tape, I have to go to the tax code and put in the tax code, which is another step in listing your book, which takes an extra couple seconds, but nonetheless, it adds up when you're listing hundreds and then thousands of books or other items. I'm not sure about that, the tax settings, and if it's supposed to automatically populate it, but it doesn't for me. Remember though, when you're listing now and you have the tax settings all set up, that you have to include a tax code. So make sure and do that, or you're gonna have to go back and do it again once the items are listed on Amazon. I will be paying quarterly sales tax to the Board of Equalization. You may have to pay your state sales tax quarterly, yearly, every 6 months. I'll be paying it quarterly, and I believe it's due in a month or so. It's that simple. Just find out when you have to pay as well once you set everything up. There are some services like Tax Jar, and there might be some others, maybe GoDaddy, I don't know, who will help you with that, to track it and tell you when it's due if you have a hard time remembering or don't want to hassle with that. For now, I'm just gonna put it up on the wall or write it down somewhere and just know when it's due so that I can pay that and move on. If you go to the Reports tab at the top of the Amazon Seller Central and go to the bottom, it says Tax Document Library, and you can generate a tax report. So you can input the month or more than a month, however long, to see how much taxes Amazon has collected for you and paid to you, so you know exactly what you have to pay to your state. And then you can write your check and be done with it. So it's good that Amazon helps not only collect it, but also track it, so it's not a pain in the butt. And it'll show up when you make a sale that tax was collected. So you can also record that if you have a spreadsheet or something, if you want to do it that way as well. but it's easy just to generate a report and find out exactly how much you have to pay. So far for me, it hasn't been that much. It's probably less than $40, $50. It's not too much that I'll be sending in, but I'm sure through back to school, through August and September, it's probably gonna be more of a significant amount because of all the books I'm gonna sell. So I hope this video is helpful to some of you out there. I know for me, I had to kind of piece it together. And when I spoke to that individual from the California state, and he let me know specifically that it was only items in California warehouses, that made more sense to me. I understood what items were gonna get taxed, depending on where you live and that sort of thing. Hopefully you can find it out for yourself. It works differently in other states. But nonetheless, there's all those steps, get it set up in Amazon. Well, get your seller's permit, get it set up in Amazon, add the tax codes, and then track the taxes. Amazon will track it for you, pay it on time, and that's basically it. It's not too much of a hassle once you know how to set it up and have already set it up. Now that it's set up for me, Amazon's collecting it, I just have to make sure I pay it on time and pay the right amount. Because Amazon will deposit that extra money into your account, and you don't want to think that it's extra income when it's actually taxes that you have to pay. But that's the great thing, that Amazon collects it, and it doesn't come out of your own pocket, and you can just send all of that extra money, and it's pretty simple. Just make sure you don't spend those taxes out of your account, otherwise you're gonna have to pay for it down the road if you're collecting the taxes. So let me know in the comments if you've gone through this process, or if you have more to add, or if you feel that I made a mistake with something or whatever it is. Let me know in the comments below, and there'll be more videos coming about my sales and big sales I've made recently, how my July is going, how it's looking for August, that sort of thing. As always, remember, keep booking.
Gloria, I think I got your number. Gloria, I think you got your own, yes. Gloria.